his name is John.
Stuff coming out of the ender chest is coming from different parts of the base. And things are happening. We're at a solid 60 FPS. Don't know why. Forge TPS doesn't really seem to affect things yet. Welcome back. Welcome back to some Project Ozone 2. So we go to a remote orderer, we type in pulsating, and we say, hey, you know what, we want a stack of that. Well, it's going to send those 20 right away, but it's going to send a few materials up here. And of course, it's going to dump them in. I mean, I hope it's going to dump them in. There we go. Cool. And then basically it just pushes them back into this chest. That pipe's waiting to see them. Then they get sucked out. And I don't know if I mentioned it before, but this little pipe controller here, where is it? Boom. You right click on that, you can actually see that number's decreasing. Basically, it's looking for items to be in this chest, which honestly isn't my favorite. I prefer how AE2 does things, that if you send items to get crafted, you can pull items out a different way, and as long as the AE2 whole system, like system as a whole, sees those items get returned, it says, hey, you crafted them. For this thing to work, it does want to see those items kind of come back to that pipe, because that's the pipe that's requesting them. It's not the system as a whole. Hopefully that made sense. Maybe I'll cut in some wither fight footage right now. Any astute observers can probably see I'm not very good at combat. Diamond furnaces. This is pretty cool. It's pretty simple, and it actually took me hours to make, and I don't know why, but it's the same idea with logistics pipes. You've got this power junction, so it's basically another network, but when you use this guy, it bridges ender chests together to the main network. So my main net can see this just because of how the ender chests share inventory. This is the satellite pipe. Whoops, I guess I gotta have the wrench out. We're set to 5 here, so that means all of these recipes, only 1 in here, but we give it the electrotene iron compound. Satellite 5, it expects that back. That's cool. You'll notice the chassis 5 actually has 8 slots, so I've got all kinds of things getting sent. And the beauty with this system is when you request items from logistics pipes, especially if they're configured for satellites, the way it works is it sends items into this chest and they disperse. The way I have EnderIO set up is it's not round robin. So it sends a full stack to one chest, and then if there's more, it sends them to the next chest, yada, yada, yada. And when they're finished, they go into this chest, and whatever logistics pipe was requesting it, I suppose a guy could prove that by, you know, asking for 2 stacks of these. You'll see items come out of the ender chest. You know what? The iron has to get sent to make the iron compound first, then it comes out, goes into this chest, it's dispersed, and then you'll see it. Pay attention, it's getting sucked out of this one. Maybe I can prove it by, there's the order, versus this guy has no order. I'm sure I talked about that a lot last episode, but I really think it's neat. I added another tower to my blaze spawner. There's kind of a funny story there. And not funny haha, funny like pain. Ah yes, the Enchanter. Pretty cool, right? This system, dealing with getting all the experience, setting up the infrastructure, doing the wither fight, getting all the gear prepared, is probably a huge reason why I didn't record much in the last 5 to 6 weeks. And then I got burnt out and just stopped playing. It's funny how something so simple and not really important to the quest book can eat so much of your time. Anyways, this Enchanter, go to an interesting page. Protection 4. So early on, getting dark steel, 64 was kind of a pain, but now it's actually not too bad because I have it auto-crafted up on the rooftop. But 22 levels, it actually takes quite a while experience wasn't as easy to get as I thought, so I had to build a way to get experience. Also the recipe here for this enchanter. I'm sure I got some footage I can cut in, but this enticing crystal, that was also a bit of a journey because I had to get, where is it here? Villagers, plus the emerald, plus wait, I don't know how many minutes, maybe even a half hour for the 20 million RF to trickle in from my poor power generation to get not one, but two of those guys. But I needed experience. So what did I do? Look at that. What is that? 70%? That's pretty cool. The astute observer is going to notice I have levers for fans. I think a previous video, I kind of ended it a month ago saying this doesn't work because of my magnum torch right there on top of that igloo. I guess you can't see it. Turns out the mine factory reloaded conveyors stopped the cursed earth from extra utilities from spawning mobs. Well, I have to use the fans. I can't think of another way without fans, without these ugly levers to make this work. But you know what? Whoops. It works. And if we turn off the override, stuff starts spawning. I promise it's spawning from this one because that one is off. First earth is spawning. And mobs are here. And this little chest, all the items come from the grinder, go into here. And the way this is configured is there's some redstone logic on that gate that basically turns a pipe signal on. And if this pipe signal's on, it emits a redstone. And that redstone gets read by this magnetic rednet cable, which goes to my little PLC up there. And if that chest is full, it shuts this off to prevent lagginess. Or I can use my override switch, which I'm doing right now. The second tower got built because I needed actual XP, and I didn't want to share them. There's going to be more pain to this story. So basically, we're at a 15 here. So this guy's 15, and then this is 15 block, right? So 15 minus 15 is 0. This is off, as you can see. On the other side's a redstone torch, which is turning this transmitter on, which turns on the upstairs. The lights are on, mobs won't spawn. And anything that gets spawned actually goes to this chest and gets handled down below here for all this stuff. Right there. And I've started trashing things, like, you know, boots, damaged swords, that kinds of stuff. Again, it's another subnet controller system that's linked by an ender chest. You have the power junction here. An interesting thing to note, though, if I have... How does that work? I had redstone and gunpowder in drawers over there in my main base from the sieving setup. It really did not like having redstone and glowstone gunpowder in this setup too. That's also hooked up, you know, by my remote orderer. It refused to send any items. So basically, I had to make sure I have no pearls in drawers over there. And this guy's by himself, just because I really wanted to keep the gunpowder. But this guy's offline. And I don't exactly know why. Look at all these solar panels. Tier 2 solar panels. Where are we here? Boom. That hurts. Look at all this stuff. That's not too bad. That's a little awkward. Not horrible, but just, you know, not great. I kind of want to get to this tier, but... Oh yes, the induction smeltery. You know what's crazy? It's been like 5 or 6 weeks of my last episode, and I'm kind of wondering how to have 200 in-game days passed, and I still am kind of at this stage. I'm thinking I haven't made much progress, but then you come up here and realize, oh yeah, I built one of these. I built more of these. I'm looking at my gold stuff here, and I'm thinking, oh man, that's low, but I forgot. Crazy how much you forget. 700 blocks is great, but it's not amazing, right? It's not no iron blocks at 21k. This is one of the main things I haven't automated yet. But the speed's not bad. I think as soon as it gets to blue, that's like max power. So I'm kind of happy with this. I want to make it even bigger. even faster. But for right now, that's okay. What's this guy doing? Yeah, we're still maxed out. This guy's still got voltage is barely dropping. I don't exactly know how to interpret those machines, but it does what it needs to, right? Eventually, we're going solar. So I got a real weird issue in this room. I've got these firewalls here. Every time I log in, even though I've got all my chunks loaded, this whole base, it just seems to send a bunch of stuff to my middle default chest, which is fine. I was trying to handle it with filters, but they're honestly not very good. Basically, I tried to only approve the solid blocks. That's the other types. Then all this stuff. I'm trying to filter these storage drawers, and I even tried to split them into 2 different networks because I didn't have enough room to filter everything. But I'm only trying to filter stuff that I want to see on my remote orderer. I don't want to see all the little bits. But occasionally on load, on world load, it sends junk through. I'm not really sure how to deal with that. This room's getting kind of crazy. Performance is still 60 FPS, but not great. Actually, doing things like that will send junk to my default chest. Because when you temporarily break the network, I guess the items just have nowhere to go. I don't know what that flashing red stuff means. But every once in a while, I try to go through this chest and clean it out, because anything that doesn't have a home just kind of gets sent there. Any Lua fans? This is kind of sad, but I got tired of having signs everywhere. Yeah, you still see signs everywhere, but I've condensed them. Edit. Nope. Ooh, look at that. Startup. Get it? Startup. Every time my world I log into my single player, it runs the to-do list. Edit to do. And so we got a list. I kind of just add to it. And it loops through it and prints everything. It's pretty scuffed, but any chance, I guess, to practice my Lua. This is a very important elevator. I actually made these growth seeds. I can't remember how much I talked about these capacitor seeds, but as soon as you kind of see them in Project Ozone 2, you just feel bad. You're like, oh man, this is going to be a pain. But to make one of them wasn't that bad. You can, what do you call it, when you put a crop stick next to another crop stick, they'll actually spread. So I got 2, and I crafted them, or I bred them back and forth to slowly get them to 10, 10, 10. And once you get them to 10, 10, 10, actually, no, before that, you got to follow all this, and you got to build what they say, which is basically what I have here. There's a whole story involved, and there's even diagnostics to try to help you, because it actually is kind of tough getting the optimal setup. But I suppose, long story short, here it is. Particles are off, but the water is going into this agricraft stuff. Got power to the light. These things are growing pretty darn quick, because they're all 10, 10, 10. I have this sign here. Basically, I had a, what does this stand for? Growth 10, growth gain strength. Growth gain strength. So, gain, what am I trying to say here? So gain at 7 is the first time, this is the first seed that I actually got something else out. What am I trying to say? I got this stuff, whatever this jelly is. First time that seed didn't happen, then it happened. And I kept that as a record just to kind of show in this video, I guess. But these are all the seeds. Like there's my 10, 10, 10. These are all the failed attempts. I kept every one. With the time, it felt kind of like a pain, but it wasn't that much work. You can tell at 10, 9, 10, it took forever. This was the longest transaction to actually get it to 10, 10, 10. Every other one grew pretty quickly, right? You can see near the end here, it took a little longer. It probably was only several hours, but it felt like longer. I actually did all this without the agricraft stuff, so that was regrettable. I should have, it probably would have been quicker. Had that stuff installed. And the rates here, what do we got? Whoops. 4,000 of those or 5,000 of those, 26,000. I think these are complete junk, so I'm kind of avoiding them. We got that many of those. Was that 91? There's 22 of those, 29 of those. I might as well just stick this stuff back in my system. And also, I thought this world, this pre-made world, was packed ice to the bedrock. Check this out. There's emeralds and redstone here. At the time I found it, I really needed them, diamonds especially, but I decided it's kind of cheaty because this is supposed to be a skyblock, so I've kind of just moved them around. I actually dug them up and then I placed them back in the wall out of the way. This chest here has a bunch of things for those immersive engineering quest rewards. I haven't built them. They're for power, right? You could do squeezers and fermenters and diesel generators and yada yada yada. I put them here with the intention of showing them on camera and then building them, but I don't even know if I'm going to bother. How could I forgot? The cows. And then later, the crops. Keep them out of render range. I was really torn about not being an underground builder, but the subway station just makes a lot of sense having it down here. Look at that. Cows that way, crops that way. Got another porch down there. These are all the guys that I'm kind of keeping, but I got no home for yet. I took all the cows out of my base. I got this green bit here for cows to spawn in, and then I kill the ones I don't want, and the ones I want, I move over here to later automate. As you can see here, I've not decorated too much. We got the experience cow. Earlier on in the video, I think I talked about all the effort I went to the blaze spawner, and not just building it, right? But actually getting the spawner. I spent so long shift sneaking, flying around the nether very slowly with those that other armor to find the blaze spawner, to make the second one, to do all this. And I had an experienced cow the whole time. I think one of the first cows I ever got was this one. It's so painful. That's manualum because all my tools are that cobalt ardite stuff. That's what do you call it, ender? Makes pearls anyways, or I can make pearls with it. I think this is blazing pyrotheum, and then that's also the color yellow, and that's kind of just it. What do we got here? What are you? What's your story? LPG. Oh yes, I heard one of the most common complaints about Project Ozone 2 Kappa is the fluid cows just make it OP. It's not even like an expert. And I hear the LPG cow from Pneumatic Craft is one of the reasons why. So I figured, yes, I'm going to exploit it. So every one of these things have a rancher, and you'll see I've turned them off because I don't want stuff ticking if it doesn't need to be. And it's the same idea here. These extra utilities drums give off a redstone signal if they're full. You can use comparators on them, which is super cool. I'm glad there was a lot of mods back in the day that did that. More mods do that now, but a huge fan of how redstone works with this kind of inventory space. So we got the tank here. That's our kind of our bulk storage. And as long as that guy's full, we got 15. Lever gives 15. This is in subtract mode. 15 minus 15 is 0. So that torch is not inverted. It's on into the repeater, power in that block, which is why this guy's off. And it's the exact same configuration and story the whole way down the line. I thought it was kind of neat. It's simple, but I'm pleased with myself. I don't know how familiar anyone is with the Aether mod. This is the mod that killed me. Uh-oh. Woo! That mod's really cool. It's got all kinds of clouds and stuff. The blue ones go up. One of them goes down. When you're not expecting that, it sends you down super fast. What's up here? There's got to be something new here. Oh, you know what there is? There is. So iron. I wrote a sign. Danger? Question mark. Recursive. Iron for anvil. Slag. So basically, we got iron. We got iron ingots here. I hear a dog barking. I'm trying to figure out, is it my dog? Check out this sign. Iron. Nope, doesn't say iron. It says dangerous question mark recursive. Iron for anvil to slag. What does that mean? Well, that's a great question. I already forget. I did this last weekend. Okay, so we're providing iron or iron ingots. Got the polymorphic sink. So any extra iron goes into here. And that's insane, right? We got like 10,000 extra iron ingots because most of it's getting stored as blocks. Notice how they're not shared. So I got 21,000 iron blocks, 10,000 iron ingots. Just insane, right? Remember, compacting drawers can't handle blocks to ingots. They have that permitted. That's why this whole room actually exists as I spin around and lag. Now, why is this? Why is this thing different? Well, where's my elevator? Back up to here. This guy. Well, I needed slag. Now as I talk, I'm trying to remember, why do I need slag? Rock wool. Oh, you know what it was for? For these guys, the machine bases. That's a lot of rock wool. So one slag turns into one rock wool, which is kind of a weird thing. Into this guy, which is then made into all these solar panels. So I plan on having a few hundred, right? So I'm going to need lots of slag. I got about 2,000 now. That's cool. So what's going on here is the story's going to get a little bit tangential. So the blast steel, when I first started making it, if you take iron ingots, and you make the whole steel thing go on, you get these, right? With ingots. But in this pack, if you do blocks, you get this stuff, which isn't useful. It's not the same as that. I need this, but I don't want to slow down this slow process with ingots. I want to keep using blocks, right? All this stuff over here, kind of useless to me. Enter the induction furnace. One of the first, actually the first, thermal expansion block I've probably built in this mod pack. We click on it, you'll see I'm going through here thinking, okay, you know what, if I cook 8 of these bars, I'm going to get this. And I'm looking at the numbers thinking, oh man, there's 123 pages. That's kind of outrageous. And I flipped through here a bunch, and then I saw a door. I was like, wait, an iron door, you get 1. It costs 6. So you actually get 35% chance, only at the cost of sand and some, power, right? I'm like, oh, that's what I'm going to do. That's going to be sweet. And I flipped through it a few more times. Whoops. And then there's the broken anvil, right, with the 13. But check this out. Brand new anvil, 31. I did the math. That's what it costs to make an anvil. You get a 160% chance of getting slag. So at the cost of sand, you get all this extra iron. So it's the same idea. If this guy here ever gets full at, what is the number, like 20, yeah, there's no upgrades in here, 2048, it's going to emit that there's no space, so this will go off. Right now you can see it's on, and then once it goes off, the redstone goes off, and then this thing is actually needing redstone to run. So it's full of anvils. Why is it not sending sand? No sand. Ooh. Oh, no way. My systems ran long enough that I've actually depleted all my sand. That is crazy. I'll have to fix that. Blaze powder. Not blaze. Blazing pyrotheum. Make it cook faster. So we're trying to cook the ingots back down to blocks. But we're actually accumulating them faster. Oh, well. There's got to be a more elegant way to handle it, but that's what I've chosen to do. I think I was showing this on stream. That's why I have more than 16. But if I take those, the system's like, oh man, I gotta go to work. And hopefully, see, everything kind of goes purple there. Still not sure why it goes red. I don't know what red means. Purple means it's doing things. So the system is going ham, right? Stuff coming out of the ender chest is coming from different parts of the base. And things are happening. We're at a solid 60 FPS. Don't know why. Forge TPS. Doesn't really seem to affect things yet. And if we go here, you see, oh, this furnace was definitely worth the effort because it's taken all kinds of stuff. Got rock wool. There's, electroline, the red stuff, the glass. It's just going ham. Each one of these probably has something different going on. I think it's pretty cool anyway. There's certainly been a few deaths in my world. I usually like to keep it around 1, but I think I've had a few extra.